Today's lesson is your review for quiz 2-1. The first question on your quiz is going to ask you to solve the system using the graphing method. Since I don't have my calculator here with me, I'm going to go ahead and solve for y. So this is one strategy that you could use. I'm going to go ahead and take each one of my equations, equation 1 and equation 2, and I'm going to place them in the form y equals mx plus b. Just trying to figure out where to write it. There we go. That way I can find the slope and I can find the y-intercept and I can go ahead and graph. So I'm going to take equation 1. Let me put it right up here. And I want to solve for the variable y. I want to get the y alone. So let me go ahead and make this stuff. There we go. I want to get that blue y by itself. I have to get rid of add or subtract first, which means I'm going to move the x to the other side. Since it is positive, I just go ahead and subtract it. I cannot actually subtract the 2 from the 5 because the 5 does not have an x and the 2 does. I want to write the x value first because I want it in y equals mx plus b form. It is negative and the 5 is positive. Now I can say that my slope is going to be -2. Remember, when your slope is a whole number, it is a fraction with 1 as the denominator. And my y-intercept is 5. All right, so this is telling me to move 2 down and 1 to the right. Remember, we always begin at the beginning, and that is point B. On the y-axis, I simply put a point at 5, and then I'm going to move 2 down and 1 to the right. And I'm just going to continue this pattern until I can't anymore. That's good. There we go. Remember, you can always go back to the beginning, your y-intercept, and you can change the 2 directions to find this part of your graph. So up 2 and 1 to the left, up 2 and 1 to the left. There we go. Everything is in line, so let's go ahead and connect them together. There we go. There is equation number 1. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for equation number 2. And remember, we're simply doing this because I do not have my graphing calculator at home with me. All right, there we go. So I'm helping myself to remember that I am solving for y. I do have to do, just like I did the last time, I do have to move the 3x first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 3x since it is positive. That minus sign is going to stay with the 2 and become -2y. I'm going to put the x first, which is -3, and the 4 is positive. All right, I'm going to remind myself that there's multiplication hiding here, so I'm going to divide everybody by -2. Remember, don't be stingy. Divide everybody by the -2. Because the negative and the negative will become a positive when we divide, I get 3/2 x, and then 4 divided by -2 is going to be -2. Now I can see that my slope is 3/2, and my y-intercept is -2. Remember, the slope is telling me to go 3 up and 2 to the right. All right, we begin with the beginning, which is always our y-intercept. So we're going to put that on the y-axis, and then we're going to count 1, 2, 3 up and 2 to the right. 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2 to the right. You might have thought, well, why did you do it again, Miss? You'd already intersected. Yes, I just wanted it to be a little bit better of a line. That's all. Remember, your TI Inspire can do even a better job for you. All right, there we go. There is our answer, and our solution is right there. There is our solution. I just need the x and the y coordinates for it. Well, the x coordinate appears to be 2, and the y coordinate appears to be 1. So there would be my answer. I just didn't have the space, guys. There we go. All right, let me get that purple back. Here we go. Question number 2 is going to ask you to solve the system using the substitution method. You can check this one by graphing or elimination, should you choose, but you must show me the work for substitution. Um, it should be set up so that you have your single variable, and it should be in equation number 1. So you should be able to see your single variable, and it should say, just like equation 1 does, x equals, and then it should have something on the other side. So it's already set up for us to substitute the x into equation number 2. So remember, whichever one, but it should be equation 1 that has the single variable should go in the first box of your table. The second equation, the other equation should go in the middle, and then you should repeat with the first equation back again in the last box. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this part right here and we're going to substitute it in for this x, because these two blue x's that you see here and here are exactly the same. It's actually the same as that one as well. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to replace that x with negative 7y. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 2. I'm going to open up my parentheses and I'm going to substitute in the negative 7y minus 8y equals 22. I'm going to go ahead and multiply right here because that's what's hiding between them. So 2 times negative 7 is negative 14y minus 8y equals 22. Now I can solve this equation, and I'm solving for the variable y. Notice there are 2 of them, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator, and I'm going to say negative 14 minus 8. Oops, hold on a second. I pressed in the wrong buttons. Negative 14 minus 8, negative 22. Y tags along, 22's on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of that multiplication by dividing by negative 22. Y is equal to negative 1. So there's one of my answers. Now I'm just going to take that y and I'm going to plug it in right here. I'm going to replace this y with the negative 1. So I'm going to say x is equal to negative 7 times negative 1. Negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7, and I have solved this equation. On the answer blank, you could put x equals 7, y equals negative 1, or you could write it as an ordered pair. I would accept either answers. This is an or situation. You don't have to do both. All right. Question number 3 and question number 4, which you can see the instructions at the bottom of the screen, are going to ask you to solve using the elimination method. Now, I chose to do the one where we must multiply, but they should look very similar to what you have on your quiz. So take a look at equation number 1. Remember, you want to make sure it is in standard form. That means it's x, then plus or minus the y value equals the constant. And equation 1 is. Equation 2 needs to be that way as well. X plus or minus the y equals the constant. Perfect. Now you're going to go back and you're going to look at your x's. Do they have the same number? No. In front, the same coefficient? No. Now look at your y's. Do they have the same coefficient, the number in front? No. So now you're going to look for a 1. Is there a single x, 1x, or is there a single y, 1y? Well, there is right here. Since this is 1y, I could make it become 3 by simply multiplying 1 times 3. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take this first equation and I'm going to multiply it by 3. That is going to give me 3x plus 15y equals 12. Here's my new equation 1, and then my equation 2 is simply going to stay the same. All right. Now I can see that my my x's both have a 3 in front of them. Remember, you're not looking at the sign of it yet. You're just looking at the number itself. Is it a 3? Is it a 2? Is it a 5? Are they the same? Now I'm going to look at the sign. They are both positive, which means they are the same sign. So to get rid of and eliminate my x's, I am going to subtract. If I'm going to subtract them, then I must subtract my y's and I must subtract my constants. Everybody's going to get subtracted. So that subtraction gets pulled into each one of the boxes of like terms. 3 minus 3 is, of course, 0. It is eliminating. And then 15 minus negative 7 is going to be 22y. The equal sign must stay right here between the y and the constant. 12 minus negative 10 is 22. I'm going to go ahead and solve this equation for y by getting rid of the multiplication by simply dividing. Y equals 1. Done. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to plug that into either equation 1 or 2. It is simply my choice. I'm going to choose equation 1. Why? Because everything is positive. Everything is positive. But instead of y, I'm going to put 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply 5 times 1. That's 5 equals 4. And now I can solve this equation by simply subtracting the 5. X equals negative 1. Once again, you can write your solution as x equals negative 1, y equals positive 1, or you can write it as the ordered pair negative 1 comma 1. I will accept either one. You do not have to do both. All right, your last one is going to ask you to do the elimination method as well. Remember, it should be all set up for you to get ready to go ahead and eliminate. Check to make sure it's in standard form, x then y then equals the constant. It is. X plus or minus y equals the constant. Perfect. We are set up. Take a look at your x's. Do they have the same number? No. Take a look at your y's. Do they have the same number? No. So now we make a decision. Do we want to eliminate x or do we want to eliminate y? Just for the sake of, because last time I eliminated x, this time I'm going to go ahead and eliminate y. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight them. What I am going to do is I am going to take equation number 1 and I'm going to multiply by the coefficient in front of the y value in equation 2. That would be 2. Okay? I'm going to take, I got that 2 from equation 2. Okay? Always from the other equation. I'm going to take equation 2 and multiply it by the coefficient in front of the y in equation 1. I got that 3 from right here. That works every time. All right, so my equation number 1 is going to become 8x plus 6y equals negative 4. And my equation number 2 is going to become 9x plus 6y equals 3. There we go. Now if you look at your y values, they are exactly the same. Take a look at the sign in front of them. They are the same sign. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to subtract. We're subtracting everybody. We're going to subtract the x's. We're going to subtract the constants. Remember, the equal sign stays right here where it is. So don't forget, oops, we're subtracting, we're subtracting, we're subtracting. All right, 8 minus 9 is negative 1x. 6 minus 6 cancels out. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. Did I get that right? Yes. All right, to solve for x, I'm simply going to divide by negative 1, and x is equal to 7. There we go. And remember, you can always write it just like that on the answer blank. Now I have an option. I can go back and plug that 7 into equation 1, to equation 2, or I could plug it into one of my new equation 1 or my new equation 2. This time I'm going to choose equation 2, the original equation 2. I'm going to put 7 in there. And I'm choosing this one because I don't know, just because. Because last time I did equation 1. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 2y equals 1. I'm solving for y. Let me remind myself that. I'm going to get rid of the 21 by subtracting it. 1 minus 21 is negative 20. I checked it in my calculator. And I simply have to divide to get rid of the 2, negative 10. So once again, y equals negative 10, or you can write it as the ordered pair 7 comma negative 10. I'll accept either answer. All right, you guys, good luck on your quiz.